Well, hello everyone. You here show you right here is for the my portfolio natural born citizen, and this right here will be my Photoshop work right here. I want to put together right here of a sketch right here of when I was a baby, and think about as to where that while I was drawing this, I want to make it look like as to where if anybody were to be looking at me whenever I was back when I was a baby, and think about as to where that if they want to maybe tickle me in the belly or something like that, but I'll go ahead and zoom in right here just a little bit with this right here. But you see right here is this shows right here some of my Photoshop work right here, and have right here is me right here, and yeah, I'll look up. It's like not with the burn tool, but I used the paint tool just to kind of draw in the details right here. Have right here is me right here, and I say just like that natural born look for like any source of babies, for toddlers, and then have right here is like the outfit I would be dressed in, and if anybody will warrant to where that anything related to the fact about is to where you're talking about. But talk about for tickle me in the belly right here. And while I was painting this on a Photoshop, I also noticed it's like if anybody say that if you're going to be looking at a toddler and then you look at them and it's like if they're going to be what you call breathing and I say yeah that the type of the look for what their belly does for their stomach going going up and down like and they want to reach up and maybe tell yeah, reach up and want to touch the kid in the belly, and then think about his story. Yeah, that you want to reach up and maybe touch the kid in the belly, tickling him in the belly or something like that. But you see right here, like talk about for digital technology, that this right here actually shows that have right here is the ruler right here for a natural born citizen. And if anybody warns us, what does that basically mean for a natural born citizen? And just to qualify for it to be a natural born citizen, you to be born here in the United States, be born in the country, just to qualify for like that, for somebody biological citizen is going to claim a child or so to be who from their birthplace and as well as from other source of information that they may collect as well. And but you see right here is that this shows right here is that with have right here is my Photoshop work right here, and then you have right here is that my name right here, say for my portfolio. But one thing I did want to talk to any people about right here is talk to everybody here about is that have right here page 1, 2. With these email addresses, and if anybody warns us that that what's the main reason maybe why you would need an email address, and one of those reasons could be is to where that that have access to a portfolio, an online portfolio, and sometimes that I guess if you want to look at it, kind of like if it's anything for how do we call it, besides a street address, or if it's any source of identification, any source of key entry code or something like that. The way we think about this right here is to where if you actually go to my portfolio online, I'll go and show everybody here, but this right here will be my portfolio online, and there'll be a spot right here where you can enter your name and your email address, and then a message right here, and you will be able to submit like for more information about what I do, and then you have right here is my portfolio. It would show the projects, and so that's just a thing that for anything related to with my work as a designer, that you're going to be putting together a portfolio right here. You have right here is a few projects that I'm sure most of us will be familiar with. You have right here for Dreams and here, and then for President Trump, and then it's like for young JCD got right here, and then a master's degree. And so whenever we look at this right here and think of this toward that that one source away of how other viewers and clients would want to reach out to the designer is more likely say is to where that it's going to be by email. And I know that nowadays that if anybody say if you're going to have an email address that are you going to only have it just to receive coupons, or maybe to talk to friends and family, or maybe use it for business reasons, or if you want to go ahead and use it as like what you call like a store. And how many of us are going to be using it as like maybe like a gallery, like a store, to where that people who want to buy what you do, and they want to look at something, or that you'll for any notifications or anything like that. So this right here would be like, say, the live view of my portfolio right here. And I notice I have like two or three of them. And if anybody asks, yeah, that this way it is about is toward that for how it works is toward like natural born citizens is that to be a born citizen, natural born citizen is that really that I guess they said besides being born here, in the country in the United States, that for based on what you do as for your job. And I'll go and show other people here some other example. You have right here is like for the 84, the requirement for July 84, and then the requirement, and you also have right here is the black night sky right here. So let's just say that if I were to set this Photoshop work right here as like my profile page, and you have right here is for the Creative Cloud. If we can see that right there, is that the Creative Cloud. So let's just say this was like if this was like a poster right here. So you say you have right here my portfolio. You got right there's my baby picture right there, from the original, and then from this painting right here. And so this was right here was supposed to be like a poster right here, any source of a profile identification right here. You have right here these tools right here, but still though that if I say that nice thing about toddlers as you look at them, and then you want to maybe tickle them in the belly, or maybe anything about what you call give them any source of other sources. Have right here is the flag. So anybody say if you ever had one of those American flag styled blankets or skirts, or maybe anything about bibs, or that anything related to any source of toddler outfits, any other source of fabric, bibs for babies, that you would be able to see those. And if anybody will warrant toward it, really that for whenever you were a kid, that you try to remember about the sources of attention that you had gotten back whenever you were a kid also. And just think about this is toward it, if you actually paint a picture, and like with anybody, if they were warned toward it, anything from what is required to be an American citizen. And it may say is toward that you are not allowed to just make up your own forms of data and just say that this is my degree in study, this is my license, this is my this is my license to be what you call to work here at the company, or something like that. And so that's just a thing about for being an artist, that you could be creative in a lot of things, but you have, like say, the requirements is toward it. Does it really require is toward it you have that be Creative Cloud, that really that if it was all about what you wanted, and maybe you would not learn very much, huh? That's usually how I usually say it, but some people say is that no, it's like it goes by toward it really for how they want you to do the job, necessarily. So I say, whenever you first start working a job, and then it's like, you spent your own time working on something by the time you do work for somebody else, and then they expect a little bit more from you, something like that. But you have right here is this right here will be me right here. That it's like have right here is whenever I was a kid, like a painting right here, and then that you have right here is that if anybody say if you be looking at the painting, and then if anybody wanted to be say want to reach up and maybe tickle the baby in the belly, or something like that, maybe pat them on the head, or like say, yeah, you give them a pat on the head or a pat on the shoulder or pat their legs, or it's like you'll tickle their feet or something like that. So everybody say, yeah, back whenever you were a kid, maybe snapped if you were buckled in safely into a high chair or something, and knowing about the source of attention that you were getting, it's like, yeah, that every once in a while, do you remember that whenever anybody that may have kissed you or maybe gave you a hug or maybe tickled you in any sort of way? And sometimes do we think about that whenever we're looking at any paintings or any photos? It's like, yeah, anybody who's going to be very curious about, a painting that looks artistic enough to where that they're going to want to say, yeah, give it that watercolor and maybe that glaze type, effect to it, special effect look to it, to make it look like that's a real baby right there, sitting and resting right there, and then like warrant or anything about which called what we want to set, our minds as to, or for anything about which called profile. The profile ID, and then this right here. Zoom in just a little bit right here. And right here is for a child's higher education. This right here, I wrote this sideways. So if anybody can see this right here, is it, yeah, for child's education. And it looks a little bit like a word search, like a crossword. Yeah, I guess you say like, more like a word search. So for like security purposes, that they asked is that, yeah, if you're going to be sign on, onto your account, onto your portfolio, onto my portfolio, ways of how to get there. That you would you go to Matthew McGuire, you go to Matt-McGuire.MYPORTFOLIO and then myportfolio.com just to be able to view that site, and just to be able to view the portfolio page online. And then whenever you go there, that you would see some of the projects I put together, and a topic for natural born citizen. But still, that with anything about word search or crosswords, that whenever we think about this, for anything about online security, and nowadays, if you're going to be signed into an online portfolio or anything that you're going to be doing on a daily basis, that they would ask you a security question or send you like a security code, by by your phone or maybe by your email or something like that. And so I guess most sites would do all what they can just to make sure that your information is protected if you're going to be using any other devices that you may have at home or maybe at work, just to be able to have access to a certain internet site. And we weren't worried that if we would have had this type of access back whenever we were very young, and at the time that your life weren't, or that back whenever you were a kid, that you were trying to remember about, for what color was red and then the stars in the night sky, or what color was blue, or I'm like, yeah, that about the outfits. And at the time, how many of us whenever we were very young remember about is toward that too many of the outfits, the outfits that you were wearing. And you weren't to where you may have seen those pictures a number of times in your baby photo collection, but then you're just like weren't toward that yeah, that it looked like a real nice cute outfit on you, but then still that you're like weren't toward whenever you grew out of those outfits at the time, either they get worn and torn, or maybe that misplaced, whichever. But talk about right here for like a crossword and then child, for higher education right here. So this was supposed to be like a source of language. And what source of language do kids usually learn back whenever that they were only about maybe a toddler, only about maybe 8 months or maybe 5 months, or whenever they were just a baby, that they, yeah, that the source of language that they may say will be like, like, yeah, something like said, like, hi, or, like, yeah, something besides gimme, 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 or something like that. Or, yeah, if they're going to be if there's going to be a particular toy or maybe an outfit or something like that, or maybe their favorite, about how old were we when we first started receive any sorts of treats, any sorts of ice cream or anything sweet, and anything what you call juicy, the if we want to call it maybe the big cup, or like something about juices, and maybe any other sorts of dessert products that back when they were like I say half the time everybody don't even remember. I'm like, yeah, well, maybe it will not be a good idea to put for like a security question. And I know for any sorts of security questions, if anybody asks, if there is any sorts of security questions that they may ask you, and one of those will be as toward it, that what was maybe the holiday, maybe besides maybe your favorite TV show that you used to watch whenever you were a kid, is toward it, about what what was the grade score on your very first grade report, from maybe a question maybe from your kindergarten years, or maybe something that you can maybe remember offhand about anybody say, yeah, if you can remember something very well, then the chances are that you're going to go ahead and paint it and draw it out, using one of these programs. But you see right here is that for July of '84, and like for the requirements, and I include mainly because of one of the reasons is that yeah, that a lot of kids like me that would say is toward that they come to school maybe that they have fun, or maybe to read a book, or maybe to learn something interesting. But sometimes though that there are some kids that whenever you're at home that for anything that you learn whenever you were at home, such as any proper manners, or if it's anything about sitting down or standing up, or learning to clean up after yourself or something like that, and maybe to learn the other sorts of proper manners. Also, put your toys away whenever you're done with them, and maybe to teach yourself to strap in, just for safety reasons or something like that. And for anything related to any sorts of language. And if anybody will warrant toward it, just think about this, is to where you think about security codes and the size and for what's locked. And the way we think about this is like looking at the portfolio here, and just thinking is toward it whenever go back and look at it, and people are like warrant toward, yeah, that whenever you look at these projects right here, like you say about the president. One president you have right here for like young JC Dugard, and then you have right here for ID security. This was a video I posted up about a year ago that I like some of the painting, illustration paintings that I put up in the portfolio here. But so whenever we think about this, and thinking is toward it, you can remember about it was pretty difficult trying to get one portfolio page going, but then by the time you find out that about how many of those pages, home pages, or any other sites that people can go to just to be able to view your work, how many of those sites do you have? You may have only been aware of only about one or two of them, but I don't know. I'm like, well, what are we going to say whenever there's a time to where that there is going to be about maybe four of them, that now that somebody has stated as to where they remember seeing four internet sites based on for the same designer, the same person, and they're like warrant to where that especially anything that you're doing, I say for digital work for security. And this may look like the same thing right here, but I can tell anybody here that from what I've seen from Photoshop, whenever you change the setting, especially from the original, if you actually look at the original, if you were to change some of the settings right here, you can actually make the size quality, and then the codes, like you have right here the codes like for security codes, but you can change the size quality, and then you can adjust the brightness, so you can do quite a few changes, and you'll warrant to where that what stays the same. And I guess if you want to call us to where that for what stays the same, if it's the root folder or if it's just the editing, if you want to call it like the editing folder, to where that whenever you open the work up in another program, that there may be some things that stay the same, such as if you want to go ahead and rename the file, or and I know that for like Adobe Bridge, is to where if you're going to be doing the other sorts of changes that they ask, is to where that why is it that there's so many pieces to the puzzle that are not necessary? And have right here is the ruler too. Like I say, yeah, this is about how to place a guide. I can go ahead and demonstrate this for you the way this works right here. So this right here, yeah, go ahead and just, if I were to be underlying security right there, that's just to be able to place a grid right there. A guide, just to be able to place the guide right there. So you have right here is the guide right here for security. So it's like, yeah, that we may not have gone to school to learn all this stuff, but still that, if it's really a concerning of the matter, or if it's all biased, to where, hey, if you want to learn something new and show somebody else, but still that, I can tell anybody here that, yeah, that, not all these not all these pieces, if you want to call it, besides to the puzzle, not all these pieces to the project are all the same, even though if they look the same. Because they got different backgrounds, and if you were to look at this, I guess if this was right here, would just be right here. I'm like, how do we describe it? Is toward it this right here would be like maybe like a poster board, but then by the time you open up the package and then find all these other pieces, and then accessories, and etc. etc. And we weren't toward it. What does that usually mean? Whenever we and then I know that like for like a portfolio though, that it seems like to where that people may think is toward it. You can't really tell the difference between these just because that that they all look the same. You can't really tell the difference. You can't really tell the difference until you start going further into the research. And it seems like is that required for anything that you're going to be doing online, is to where it all looks the same, and if anybody can't tell the difference, well, then you may have to explain to them about what the difference is. And like with me though, that if anybody that don't understand too much about what I'm talking about or what I'm doing, then it seems like it's toward it. Yeah, well, guess what? I mean, if you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask a question. But still, that anybody say anything for what you can do about getting somebody's attention also. But I want to go ahead and show and talk about for natural born citizens. And like I mentioned before, is toward basically that anybody say just to be able to get hired onto a job, or maybe if it's just to be a resident, if you want to be considered a resident, or maybe if you want to be known as what you call American citizen, or a citizen of the country of the United States of America, that there would be like these requirements. And one of these requirements that they would say is toward it, no, not to paint a picture of you, and if you're going to be maybe hiking in the mountains, or maybe if you're going to be what you call in your room, maybe playing a video game, or maybe all nice and comfortable in this little blanket of yours, or maybe fastened all nice and neat, but still that what you call this cute moment photo, if you want to call it like my portfolio, the cute moment photo. And if anybody wants that, if this was right here was my profile, page, and so that this right here, what people would see right here, if they would be going to my profile, and it say, yeah, your portfolio, Matthew, right here, and just think about it to where that what source of attention do you think that they will be giving you, and just think about if you would add any source of 3D effects to this work right here, this Photoshop work right here, and I say that, yeah, but how many people are gonna say that, yeah, that they want to, that the painting looks so real to where people want to go ahead and reach up and tickle you in the belly, or something like that, or maybe massage your shoulders or something. And like when anyway, I say that, yeah, I think that any kids that children that are going to be younger than the age of 2 or 3, that you look so cute, and what's the reason to why that you want to tickle them, or maybe shake their hand, or maybe what you call is like pat them on the pat them on their head, or maybe hold them or something like that. And like with anybody, parents or anybody that they may warn toward it, with a painting, be look just as similar as toward it. At the time, you're like warrant, where you look at the toddler, and then with the toddler that they're gonna be like, that it looks cute to you. Just you're looking at the kid as they will be resting, and then while their bellies are moving up and down, it's like if they were breathing, or maybe if they were stretching, and so it's like if anybody warns us that, yeah, do we ever ask our teachers that question at one time? Is to where that what does it usually mean to stretch? Just stretch your arms and your legs, and stretch, maybe to exercise, and I guess it basically means like the muscle movement, just to be able to, you don't want to be stiff, like that, for a long period of time. You want to, get your blood flowing, and then get, it's like you stretch your muscles. It's like you allow your body to be interactive, and I guess that's the main point of reason about stretching. So if anybody warns us that, yeah, that whenever you stretch also, but that is that something that you were doing back whenever you were a baby, is toward that if you were to stretch, you're waking up from a long nap or something like that, or maybe if it's anything about is toward hey, that there's a, if you even know about maybe your favorite TV show that comes on at 4 o'clock or something like that, or something related to your homework, or but still that with my portfolio right here from the original, as to the main reason why you did this, maybe because that you could say that, well, the original, maybe the original files were erased. So if anybody were to come up with the reasons to where that, what's the reason to why you spent 3 hours putting this together? It's like you have right here is, if this was right here was a painting of me right here, and just think about it toward it, you may say is that, well, because the originals were destroyed, like an really, that how can we explain it to our children if they ever wonder, if anybody will wonder about that? If it's even for a library card, or maybe applying for anything about citizens cards or anything like that, that maybe the card that you had was destroyed or misplaced. That I guess there, like say the files, would I'm like, yeah, that I'm sure that there are websites you can go to just to be able to apply for new ones, but still, though, that even though if it's been 20 years since, if you were not able to keep the originals, and you can apply for the new ones. And so if anybody wonders as to where that, you say, does that mean that you got to go by the requirements as to where that, use the ones that are provided to you. Don't make up, don't make your own up, but still, though, I use this right here just like, say, for creative, and something, for fun, like, and then if anybody warns us to where if you want to go ahead and use some paintings, and, I say, knowing about, for what makes you a U.S. citizen, and one of those would be, like, say, is to where that about every year, if you're going to go ahead and show some source of improvement, is to where that how your freehand has improved, and how your work is shown to other people as well. So I have these paintings, of course, on my portfolio, so if I'm going too fast here, those also on my portfolio. But you have right here for July of '84 right here, and then for requirement for Adobe Creative Cloud. And so if anybody will warrant toward it, yeah, there are some subjects back whenever you were in school that you didn't like very much, and if anybody say that what's one of those subjects that maybe it took you a long time just to get used to them, besides math, and they say, yeah, science, but still that math was another very complicated subject also. But so still, if anybody were to warrant toward it, that yeah, that for about your soul, you could maybe go to school and learn some of these programs, and maybe to be able to post your grade report online, and you're like warrant to where, hey, yeah, hi, this is this is me, my portfolio, and yeah, I got a I got an A on the test or something like that, or B minus, but Anyway, so if anybody say that, yeah, even with the president, that you warrant to where that, for every U.S. president before that they leave office, that you warrant to where that, if they got a grade book, available, and I say, yeah, that you may have heard about, maybe about their taxes or whichever, but still that, birth certificate, whichever, but how often are we going to maybe hear about the grade report? And grades are all grades mainly based on what you're doing in school, or they could they also apply to anything about how well that you did on a project, and how well that you explained to to the people watching as to how well you performed also. So these right here, yeah, would be examples of some posters right here. And we have right here's emails, and I can go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on here so that way we can see this. You have right here for Matthew, 7184W4, and then you have right here for Matt-McGuire.84, and Matthew McGuire.84, and so it's like you go into those emails. And, I can tell anybody here that you didn't get introduced to the email. And until it's like they let you use the computers there at the school, but still that nowadays it's like if you have one email that you use on a daily basis, or if you're going to be using one for business reasons, or maybe one just to hang out with your friends and family, or one to say, yeah, how many of us are going to maybe be having an email for each time that you go shopping, or maybe go to the movies or somewhere around town, and you're like Warren toward it. If you're going to have maybe 3 different emails and maybe 5 different accounts also, and there's only one you, of course. I'm like, how many of us are going to have it to where that you're going to be sharing your account and your email with somebody else, and you're claiming somebody else to be, and your name is like an independent, as an independent, but still, though, the points I'm making is toward it about our security also, and really, if anybody will warrant to where you set your own security code, and really, would it be what you call just something that you make up, or is it going to be something that you know that was already there? But anyway, I mainly want to talk about this right here, is to where if anybody say that, yeah, you make a painting look realistic enough to where people want to reach up and tickle you in the belly, like good to good, good to good to good, like good to good to good. Good, 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 good. But anyway, whenever you look at a baby picture right here, and at the time, it's like even if using baby shampoo or maybe lotion or anything like that, if anybody say that, that if there was a painting that there was, the original design could have been from from Photoshop, but let's just say if you add some special effects to it, maybe some 3D effects, that you're like warned to a little bit about that. It's like the American flag right there, and like we saying by say, yeah, how come you didn't draw any seat belts, or maybe if they were strapped into a high chair. Still, I used 10 JPEG images, pieces right here. So if anybody warns us that, I thought 10 was enough to really explain this activity right here. But still, that if anybody warns us that that number of things that you could talk about for so far as for the natural born citizen, and for like he warns us toward it, yeah, that being a natural born citizen means is to where you like knowing for the basic requirements for what you need to follow as well. And you say, yeah, you just gotta, the forms that you like, the forms like apply online or go to like locations, just to be able to apply for the citizen, to just be a citizen. But anyway, that type of stuff, I'm sure most of us know about already. That just to be a citizen, but still, that have right here is like, yeah, everybody warns is that. We may have seen it before, like on any source of portfolio, that with your signature, that with digital software that you can actually change the way that appears. Also, like any source of writing that you're going to be using, and And I could tell anybody here that one thing about digital technology that I had noticed is toward it. If you were to make a mistake while you're signing something, chances are you will be able to erase it. I say if you're going to be, if you're going to be writing, maybe on paper or maybe on anything else, and do you know any source of a digital documentation device that you've used to where you cannot erase anything that you're working on? And I guess if it's what you call permanently copied or something, and I know that nowadays with digital technology that sometimes though that some stuff that they say is toward it once you sign it that it cannot be corrected, and so it's just a thing though that with digital software that there are some softwares is toward that you can do whatever you want, or there may be some softwares that you got to go by the requirements, and I can see you go by but the rules of say of how it works, but this right here, just to talk to everybody here about is that this right here is 3,000 pixels right here. This is some work right here that I want to talk about right here, which I got that up on my portfolio also. That this right here would be 3,000 pixels. So these, like I said before, that they look the same. Just a little bit different study about this right here. That they really aren't the same. That just the size quality is just a little bit different, and then pixels maybe just a little bit larger. So if anybody will warrant toward it, you're working on a project, and then like say that you save your changes, whatever that you want to set the changes for, and then the PSI, the ISO, and then if you want to go ahead and use this JPEG, this is the exact same JPEG, and then go ahead and upload it to another internet site, the chances are that they may say is toward it that the number of pixels is too large, for what's allowed, for the website. So I, like with anybody, that they experience those problems as to where whenever you start working on a project that you want to go and share it with other people, and share it with other viewers, and it's possible that they may say you may have to email it, and if it's going to be more than 25 megabytes in size, then they may ask us to attach it as a zip file. It's like you create a zip folder for it. And so that's just the thing that if anybody will warrant or let me know, please let me know. But if you have any questions related to that, I did not really explain too much about creating zip, just mainly about the portfolio right here. But this right here, this portfolio, the portfolio page, and then the contacts right here. On the mobile, it would probably be located right here on the right, but click on here on the left for contacts. And you have right here is this painting for truth and trust right here. And then you have right here is like a place where you can enter your name right there. So enter my name right there. So it's like that anything related to about is toward it have autofill right there. But still that anything anything that you're going to be doing online, it seems like half the time that you're going to be asked to provide an email address. And I guess the question goes by is this toward it, should this stuff be kept confidential? And I guess that whenever you first got the email address, that you said yes, I don't want anybody else to have it. This is my own personal information. But still, that I guess if we're going to be using this for like maybe special marketing or advertisement, I guess the chances are that they say it's required that you provide this information, so that I guess it's like a source of contact. And anything about a resume, especially anything on a resume, that they would ask is toward to please provide this information. So if anybody will warrant toward it, the site will be kept safe and secure, and on a secure site, please provide the information. And it may not be shared on all devices, but let's just say that if you want to go ahead and just pick one source of contact information, so people can be able to reach you and say that, hey, how's it going? I'm this is the name of the company, or anything about maybe the job or something like that. And the school that you may have gone to, they want to look at that, and then maybe some of your projects. So nowadays it seems like to where that anything that was kept all in just one spot, even in an electronic binder, it seems like it. I don't know if it's just optional or it no longer exists. And it seems like it no longer exists. In today's world, it seems like it's a lot of it is going online to where it seems like you just really that they say is toward it anything that's supposed to be confidential, anything that's supposed to be kept safe and secure, but still, anything that's going to be about your work for what you do, especially that you would need to include on a portfolio. And I guess they say is toward if any job ads or any source of commercial advertisement that they would ask us toward it, that for any responses to the viewers that. They say that they provide the information for for more information, or please, hey, contact us, or hey, go to our website anytime. Radio stations, newspapers, online sites, you name it. I guess anything. One thing that maybe I had not seen it on. Of course, anybody probably say that. Name one source of where I'm like, yeah, that can you accept your watch? I'm like, unless if you don't have one of those smart watches, like one of those old-fashioned watches, I don't think that you would be seeing any sorts of advertisements on there, based on for anybody to know about you especially, but still though that anything about what you cause working your taxes, and as well as anything that you're going to be doing on a daily basis that they say is toward that for security purposes, and then but still that you've been used to keeping a lot of stuff in the binder, but then now it's like with these online sites, and is to where that with these online sites, even on social media, that they ask you to provide some of that information so they can clarify that is this you right here. And I guess that's really also the most important reason also is to where that that you can only claim whenever you turn at least 18 years of age or older, you can only claim yourself to be which calls a citizen as an independent, and for anybody who as an American for in the country, and they want to make sure that this is just you as a person using this on these sites, and using these access codes. And so if anybody will warrant toward it the truth and in the matter of is toward it that whenever you first started using this account, this email, or maybe whenever you first were introduced to this software, that they may mention is to where you cannot mention this to anybody else. You have to keep this confidential. It's kept secure, and there are some things, of course, that are kept secure, and a lot of those things, that I can maybe give some examples, but I'm also think about the time too. But anyway, one of those examples, of course, would be is to where, if anybody say if it's going to be, for the taxes or anything about protective sites as well, that for any sites that are owned by the state or from the government as well. So those sites right there, that they said that there will be information about you that needs to be kept confidential. But if you want to go and write like a message, and I can go and just write an example message right here. Hi, I am interested in your work. So this right here, and I can go ahead and include like maybe some abbreviations and maybe some question marks, maybe on the bottom. And so that's just the thing about us toward it. If anybody will warrant, so you go to these, and you have right here is a submit button right here. But you have these social media sites right here, and I want to tell you, like, this way here is what the background looks like. But still, that I thought that this was right here was a pretty good painting right here. And my Photoshop work right here is like for talk about for true nations, but if anybody say that, it's a little bit hard to read, but these right here will be like the requirements is toward it. Anything about what you're going to be doing on your portfolio daily basis. Anybody that wants to know a little bit more about you, and these would be like the required. It's like like that they would ask for your email address, and then ask for your first name, and then any other sorts of information they may ask for also. But anyway, but going back to this right here, you know, for like talk about for the illustration for natural born citizen. So if anybody say that, yeah, that for anything about baby pictures, or if it's anything about, you know, artistic work that you would like to include on your portfolio, the original, and then here. And, you know, one of the reasons why somebody, an artist, did this was like just to be creative, or to say that, you know, the original files were erased, or they were, you know, they were destroyed. And you're like, well, no, they weren't. You know, they still have copies of them. Like, you know, even if it's been 25 years, like, well, anything that you need to have new copies of, or apply for a new card, or, you know, anything like that, that they say, you know, anything that you may have had from the past, like anything from about 4 or 5 years ago, that maybe not everything was destroyed, but let's just say that if anybody were to say is toward it, they want to go ahead and just you know, assume something, or just say that they make something up, and like, no, oh no, like you gotta go by what's provided. You know, there are requirements about that. There are rules and requirements about that. But anyway, between the original and security. So it's, anybody say if there's anything as a concern of matter, if anything about you, your portfolio, and as well as any other source of information, for confidential, you know, for anything confidential, that they say is that that, you know, if it was destroyed from you know, anything from what you had around, you know, if it was misplaced, or if you think that, you know, if it was even stolen, or if it was destroyed at some point, that they say you can go in and apply for a new one. But still, though, that we may have our reasons to why that we do stuff, especially online. Nowadays, it's like, yeah, that you know, a number of phones nowadays, but still that you know, how many of us are going to maybe think about is to where there's more than one way to apply for you know, a new citizens form, or anything about, you know, maybe your taxes, or your social security, or anything like that. But anyway, but talk about right here for natural born citizens right here, say for Matthew right here, and then talk about right here is for that with my it's like this right here will be yeah, you know, your signature right there, and yeah, that when about how old were you whenever you first learned how to write in cursive? And I say I was probably about in the 4th or 5th grade whenever I first, you say, for how you sign your name. And I also want to mention this right here. Also, I'm also thinking about the time too, everybody. But still, real quick, I you know, while I was working on this sketch right here, this line right, and if anybody warns, is that you know, anything about a painting, and then anything about what you call as like exclamations, or maybe headings that you want to include about what you say about this, you know, 1 or 2 paragraphs of what you want to say about it. And sometimes it yeah, you know, back then that they gave you about maybe 4 lines to be able to write, you know, anything about 4 or 5 paragraphs about what you want to say about your work. And then the chances are, like with digital software, that you would be able to shrink it just to be able to fit it in there. I haven't tried it yet, but at least I know Illustrator, and then InDesign, I'm sure that would be a good program to use if you want to go ahead and you know, shrink the size to just be able to fit them on small lines. But still, are they going to be very readable? And that's one thing about digital software also, is anybody that may ask as to where that you know, anybody who has access to them on their devices, that they would be able to zoom in and zoom out. And then if it's too small, then you can go in and use the zoom tool just to be able to zoom. And as I say, yeah, that, you know, you zoom in too close, and then chances are it's going to start getting blurry. But anyway, you know, have you tried it? I'm like, well, really, that don't look so blurry, does it? But you know, the Photoshop work, it's really starting to, it's really starting to get blurry. Anyway, yeah, you know, I mean, I say, yeah, it's, if I say, look at that cute little face. Anyway, I don't know if I was ever commented at something like that back whenever I was a kid, but still, that anybody say that, yeah, especially whenever your birthday came around, that you were wondering about that, is toward it about how much source of attention that you get, you know, before you were a year old, and want to know about is toward it, you know, anything about your information, and then yeah, that on your first day of kindergarten, do you remember, the forms and book bags and stuff that you had back whenever you were very young? And they say is that that you can't share it to everybody else. This is only for you, to use for your own purpose. But talk about for anything about for a natural born citizen right here, and so that's just the thing about for my portfolio, natural born citizen. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.